Yo, what is up? My name is Jawaz. Today I have a War Within Season 3 BM Hunter guide. If you don't know who I am a rank 1 hunter, and I am currently sitting pretty nice on the ladder. So I'm feeling confident about my information, and I feel ready to share with you what I know from my experience so far in this season. I wrote down a bunch of stuff to hold myself accountable and make sure that I stay on topic and I don't get all tangential and weird with you. Okay, so let's just get right on into it. For your race, if you want to be super cookie cutter and try hard, then you want to be Orc or Night Elf. Both of these are excellent choices. However, if you're just trying to get your 1800 elite set, or if you're even trying to get 2400 and start working on your Gladwins, you can literally play any race you want. Like, it does not matter. Dude, I play like a Goblin Hunter for fun, and it's so hilarious. So, you know, you can play Zandalari Troll, you can play Volpera, dude. Just play whatever you want and enjoy the game, man. Like, unless you're playing like in tournaments, or you just want that competitive edge or whatever, or you're pushing rank 1 or whatever, like, then it doesn't really matter. I even got rank 1 on my Maghar Orc. So like, it doesn't really matter, honestly. Rarely does your race actually affect the outcome of a game, but yeah, technically these could influence the outcome of the game. Rarely. So yeah, ultimately just play whatever you want, enjoy the game, and have fun. It's far more important that you like what your character looks like than you play like an optimal cookie cutter race or whatever. Okay, so play that Blood Elf Hunter, play that Volpera Hunter, just be happy and enjoy yourself. Okay, moving on to gear, stats, and embellishments. So the criteria here is that we want to reach a safe amount of versatility. And for me, this season, that's feeling like it's about 25 to 30%. And once that criteria is met, then you want to maximize the amount of haste and mastery that you can get while avoiding crit when possible. Okay? Now, keep in mind that you can go lower than 25 or higher than 30 based on your personal preference, but this is about what's feeling good to me right now. And yeah, embellishments, you're gonna want to run double elemental focusing lens. And for your tier set, I'm thinking at this point in the season, 4 set is worth it, but I will try 2 set later on when Conquest is uncapped to experiment with stats and such. But I would plan on 4 set for now, and then just be aware that you could experiment with other combinations later. And for the 4 set, I'm running head, shoulders, hands, and legs while skipping the chest. The reason you're skipping the chest, if you don't know, in the game, every piece of gear has 2 stats on it. And you'll notice, like, if we look at the legs, for example, you see that it has high mastery and low crit, okay? So every piece of gear in the game typically has 1 stat that is high and 1 stat that is lower. And the reason we're avoiding the chest here is that you can see that most of the stat budget of the item is allocated into crit, and we want to avoid crit. So we are avoiding the chest to maximize the stats you get from the other pieces. Okay, cool. So you can later in the season you can look up my character to see what I'm rocking, but for now I'll quickly kind of go over what I'm using, but just keep in mind that this might change as we get fully geared and enchanted and gemmed out. Okay, so I'm rocking the tier helmet with the enduring bloodstone gem. I'm running a crafted neck. I'm running the tier shoulders. I'm running the 730 cape with the mastery gem in it. I'm running a, you'll eventually want a 723 chest here. You'll eventually want a 723 bracer here. I'm running the haste verse conquest weapon with the haste enchant on it. And I might experiment later with the mastery enchant or the versatility enchant. But any of those combinations are fine. I'm running tier hands. You'll eventually want a 723 waist. I'm running the tier legs. You'll eventually want the 723 feet. And I'm running double crafted ring with elemental focusing lens. And then you're going to run your PvP trinket and your insignia. Okay, so that's what I'm running at the moment, but just keep in mind that as the season develops and we get fully geared, you can mess with stat combinations and experiment, and you can always look up my character to see what I'm running at that moment. All right, let's talk about talents. So BM got a lot of changes this season, and I'm really a fan of them, and I think Blizzard is cooking with the changes. So I'm not going to talk about every individual talent because that would take way too much time, and I'm going to assume you have some prior knowledge of the hunter tree. However, I will talk about like a few things that I think are notable. The first thing is that the left tree is very tight now. You can no longer move points around very easily. The reason for that is that you got a new talent right here called Harmonize and Blackrock Munitions, and you have to take these. This is just, it's way too good to drop. You'll lose far too much damage if you drop this. You also need to put 2 points in the trigger finger for your damage. So this is 4 points that are mandatory. You cannot take these out. What that means is that you used to have like 1 or 2 points that you could put into utility like Scrappy or Territorial Instincts or Natural or Wilderness Medicine if you wanted to, but you can like no longer do that. The way that I see it right now is that I feel like I can never afford to change these talents. The only time that I would really try to change these talents is like there have been a couple times where I've played against like Unholy DK Assassination Rogue comps, and in that scenario, Emergency Salve is really good. So you could sometimes I can drop Knock Trap and take this, or you could drop 1 point in Keen Insight and take this to be tankier into those kind of comps. But it's pretty rare that I would drop this. Another thing that you could do is, let's say you're playing against a double melee preservation comp or a double melee resto druid comp, then it's pretty good to take AoE purge with your Kodo tranquilizer, and then same thing there. You could either drop Knock Trap, or you could drop 1 point in Keen Insight and take AoE purge. But keep in mind that they have to be perfectly stacked for this to work, so it's sort of like unreliable. Yeah, this talent is not as good as it used to be in season 1 before it got changed. Okay, so pretty much every single game I'm running this, and I almost never change it. Okay, talking about the right tree, the BM tree, again, I'm really happy with my build, and I rarely change it. Almost never change this. There's a few things that you could do. Let's say, again, you're playing against a double melee Prez comp, where they're going to be double stacked or triple stacked. You could drop any of the Cobra Shot talents. So you could drop this, this, or this, and put it into Dire Cleave, which just means that your Dire Beasts will passively be cleaving with their white auto attacks. Or you could also drop Thrill of the Hunt to take this. You could do that. But personally, I think permanent 6% crit to everything is just like really good to always have. So yeah, I've tried this talent a lot, and sometimes it's good. I've seen it do like 5% of my damage, but you have to keep in mind that it's situational, because if the team is never stacked, like let's say they're split up, then this talent does nothing. So just keep that in mind. I feel like this is a really consistent, all situations kind of page, but keep in mind that you could drop any of these Cobra Shot talents if you wanted to take Direct Cleave. Okay. More info about the BM tree. I get asked a lot, why don't you play Aspect of the Beast? Isn't this super good? You're just missing out on 30% of your damage. So the tooltip on this talent is very misleading. It reads like your pets just do 30% more damage, but what this means is that that 30% number is actually, it's not increasing your pet's overall damage. It's actually only increasing the damage of your bite, claw, or smack ability. And you can see here that, like, in this game, for example, my bite only did 1.5% of my damage. So what this talent is actually doing is it's increasing 1.5% of my damage by 30%. So that is exceptionally bad. This is not a large damage increase whatsoever. Also, this is nerfed in PvP. When you go into arena or battlegrounds, this goes from 30% to 20%. So this is only increasing bite, claw, or smack by 20%. So yeah, 20% of 1.5% of your damage is nothing, dude. So it's not worth it. The nice part about this talent is that it increases the effectiveness of the buff from your pet, but it's still not worth the talent point, okay? So yeah, I would say this talent is a noob trap. It's a bait. It would be very different if it increased all of your pet's damage by 30%. Obviously, you would take it then. Also this season, I am dropping Serpent Sting, which means that in the pack leader tree, we're dropping Envenom Fangs because we're no longer playing Serpent Sting. So we're going for more cooldown reduction on our kill command. Okay. And then talking about hero talents, yeah, I've tried Dark Ranger a lot. It's just not as good as Pack Leader, even with the buffs. Dark Ranger is good during Call of the Wild and then falls off massively compared to Pack Leader. So Pack Leader is going to be your go-to build this season, I believe, unless they massively buff Dark Ranger again. And yeah, we'll talk about Pack Leader more when we get into the damage section. And then lastly, talking about PvP talents, you always play Survival Tactics, never take this off. You always play Chimeral Sting, never take this off. And then you pretty much always play Kindred Beasts. There's a few situations where you can drop this. Like, let's say you don't need the short freedom. If you don't know, Kindred Beasts makes your pet freedom a 23-second cooldown, which is very good. But let's say you're playing against Warlock Shadow Priest, or like, yeah, I guess any comp with like a lot of fears, then you can drop Kindred Beasts because you don't need freedom against a Warlock and a Shadow Priest. You know what I mean? So you drop Kindred Beasts and go into Beast Within to become immune to things like Mortal Coil and all fears during your Bestial Wrath. Keep in mind that you have to use your Bestial Wrath before you get feared. You cannot use it reactively. You have to use it proactively. Okay, so this is not a fear break. It is a fear immunity. So you can't use this after you get feared and expect to get broken out of the fear. It no longer works like that. It used to, though. Okay, so what this means is that during your burst or during your like high damage moment, you cannot be feared. So for 8 seconds. So that's pretty good against Warlock and Shadow Priest teams. That's only if you don't need a short freedom. Okay. And then all the rest of these are worthless. Like, I never play the other ones. They're bait. Okay. Cool. All right. And then, yeah, if you have any questions about the talent tree, let me know and I will write back to you. I will have the code to my page in the description of this video. So next topic is how to do your damage. So one thing to keep in mind about BM Hunter is that you are a high pressure sustained DPS class, and you are not a burst class. Okay, so you are not going to be bursting people like a marksman hunter or an arcane mage or like a destro lock, things like that. But you have consistent annoying damage, kind of more like a fury warrior, I would say. You're almost like a ranged fury warrior mixed with like an affliction warlock. That's your damage profile. Okay, so if you want to like burst people and kill them in a setup, it's not really what BM Hunter does. BM Hunter just does sustained annoying high pressure. Okay, cool. So you have a couple of priority systems as BM Hunter to maximize your damage output. The first one is you have this mechanic called Frenzy, and Frenzy is a buff on your pet that's activated when you press Barb Shot. So every time you press Barb Shot, you get 1 stack of Frenzy on your pet, and this increases your pet's auto attack damage. I'm sorry, your pet's auto attack speed. Okay, and Frenzy stacks up to 3 times. You see 1 stack, 2 stacks, and then 3 stacks. And at 3 stacks, your pet has 99% bonus attack speed. And to the best of your ability, you want to maintain this 3 stack for the entire game. Now, in PvP, like a lot happens, so sometimes this buff will fall off, and that's okay. Like, it will happen occasionally, but you just want to do your best to maintain 3 stacks at all times. There are games where I'm able to maintain 3 stacks forever, and then there are games when I might get like, let's say my buff is expiring and I haven't refreshed it, and now I get stunned, and then I get polymorphed, and then I get repolymorphed, and then boom, now my buff fell off and I have to start over. And that's okay. Like, that happens. That's part of the game. And now you just have to get it back, and it's no worries. And you just stack it back up, and then you're good to go again. Okay. So don't get frustrated if your buff falls off. It will happen sometimes because the game is variable, and like every game is different, and you might get stopped a lot. And that's okay. All right. So your second priority after maintaining 3 stacks of barb shots, or your frenzy buff right here, is you always want to spend your kill commands and your barb shot charges. So what this means is that you have 2 stacks of both of these abilities. If you ever are sitting on 2 stacks and you're pressing other abilities, then that means you are doing something wrong. You made a mistake. So you need to make sure that you're spending your charges of kill command and barb shot as soon as possible. After that, you need to be using Bestial Wrath on cooldown. You need to be using Bloodshed on cooldown, and you need to Call the Wild pretty much on cooldown, but like try to do it at like a good moment, at an opportune time. Okay, and then after those things are met, then you can use things like Kill Shot and Cobra Shot as filler. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to do like a global perfect opener of what I think is my preferred damage globals as an opener. And keep in mind that this is like a quote unquote perfect situation, so it might not always pan out like this in game. You're gonna have to like, improvise and adjust based on what's going on in the match. So I'll talk about it first. I usually do 1 barb shot to start my bleed and ramp up my pet's frenzy buff into a Bestial Wrath, into 1 kill command, into Bloodshed, into Call the Wild, and then I'm going to go kill command, barbed, kill command, barbed, kill command, barbed, back and forth until I run out of these, and then you can Kill Shot and Cobra Shot as filler. Okay, so I'll demonstrate that right now, and on the right side over here, I have my Trophy GCD enabled, so you can see what globals I'm pressing, and I will also narrate for you what I am doing. Okay. So I'm gonna start with Barb Shot, Bestial Wrath, 1 kill command, Bloodshed, Call the Wild, kill command, Barbed, kill command, Barbed, kill command, kill command. Now I can kill shots, kill command, Barbed, kill command, Cobra, etc. Okay? This is what you do. That's your damage. Special Wrath on cooldown. Maximize your damage. Okay, and then I'll talk about a couple things that I'm doing here. Keep in mind that, you know, I'm triple cleaving on these stacked dummies. So like, the damage looks different than it will in a real game. But you know, this is approximately what it will look like throughout the match. So you can compare my details to yours and see what you're doing. All right. So a couple things that I'm doing there. You play this talent now called Master Handler. And what this means is that you want to multi-dot with your Barb Shot for a couple of reasons, because it gives you CDR on your kill command. And it also, the more targets you are bleeding, the better, because of your Dire base talent. So that means that I want to use Barb Shot on multiple targets. So I would say minimum 2 targets for your Barb Shot. And if you can, sometimes you have time to Barb Shot 3 people in the arena. That's kind of like a bonus if you can Barb Shot 3 people, but definitely 2 people, okay? Yeah, and what that does is it just increases your damage because you're bleeding multiple people. It gives you more cooldown reduction on your kill command, and it procs more Dire Beasts. Okay. Cool. Let me know if you have any questions about the damage again. I will demonstrate my opener again, and so you can watch. Keep in mind, like, the game is variable. Every opener is different. So like, let's say the both teams are having like a Wild West standoff, and you're both standing on each other's pillar and you're kind of trading like this. You know, obviously, like, if the game hasn't fully been committed yet, obviously you don't want to press Call the Wild quite yet. Like, you don't want to commit all of your damage at this point in time. And like, you might need to stun trap the healer in the opener, right? So then that would change your opener too. So what I'm demonstrating now is only damage globals, okay? Nothing else. Just keep in mind that it might look slightly different from game to game, okay? I'm gonna click off all these buffs. All right. So again, my opener usually is Barb Shot, Bestial Wrath, 1 kill command, Bloodshed, Call the Wild, and then I'm going to dump all kill commands and Barb Shots. When I'm out of those, then you can fill with Kill Shot and Cobra Shot. Okay. And again, you want to be tabbing in Barb Shot. You don't want to be single target Barb Shotting. Okay, so it looks like this. Barb Shot, Bestial Wrath, 1 kill command, Bloodshed, Call the Wild, tab, Barb Shot, kill command, tab, Barb Shot, kill command. Now I'm out, now I can fill. Kill Shot, Cobra Shot, and then I have more kill commands and Barb Shots than these men does. Yeah? This is what you do. You need to be tabbing. You need to be tabbing and Barb Shotting. Spread your bleed, give you more CDR on your kill commands, and give you more Dire Beasts. All right. Yep. That's your damage. And if you have any questions about that, please write to me and I'm happy to help out. Yep. That's what you do. right? And again, keep in mind, sometimes like in the opener, you might need to stun trap the healer, and then you might get CC'd, and now you're like, you haven't used any damage globals yet, and you need to like, you know, start late or whatever, and that's fine. It happens sometimes. But that was only like pure damage globals. You know, sometimes you might need to scatter shot first, the off target, or you might need to like, I don't know, like tar trap the melee off of you or something like that. So that was only damage globals. So it'll look different from game to game. Okay, cool. Let's refer back to our notes here. So let's talk about your defensives. So your best defensive as a hunter is Feign Death. It's a 30-second cooldown with a 90% damage reduction for 2 seconds. So you want to, you want to use this aggressively, but also carefully at the same time. So you want to use this at opportune moments. You don't want to throw this away. However, you also want to use it fast so that you can get it back and use it again, right? So this is your lowest cooldown, best defensive. If you have like a big chaos bolt in the air, if you have a big aim shot in the air, if you have you know, warrior damage on you, you need to be using Feign Death like immediately. That should be your first reaction. Okay. Your Roar of Sacrifice and your Exhilaration come next. These are low cooldown defensive, so you want to use them fast. In the opener, as soon as damage starts rolling, I would probably throw Ross like right away. And you also want to use Exhilaration quickly in the game for a couple of reasons. Because of this talent, when you do damage, you actually farm back your Exhilaration cooldown. So I'll use Exhilaration here, and I'll start doing damage, and you'll see that slowly I'm actually farming back my Exhilaration. Okay. The second reason you want to use this early is because of dampening in the game. If you don't know, dampening is like a ramping healing reduction throughout the course of a game. So what this means is that Exhilaration is better in the early game than it is in the late game. So you want to use this early to get value out of it. And you see, like, I'll almost already have another Exhilaration. So use your Exhilaration early and often, so you can use it like multiple times throughout a game and help out your healer. And if you help out your healer, then your healer can do more damage or more CC, less healing global. You know what I mean? That's very good. You also have 2 charges of your wall. Now your wall is really bad in PvP. It's only a 25% reduction, which is pretty low. And like I die through my wall all of the time. However, you do have 2 stacks of this. So just like you have 2 stacks of Kill Command and Barbed, you don't really want to be sitting on 2 stacks of an ability for that long. You want to use one at least early so that you can start farming your next charge back. So just keep that in mind. And then after your Feign, your Wall, your Ross, your Exil, you have Turtle as like a last stand button. Almost always you want to use Turtle last outside of like a few specific situations. But try to hang on to this last. It's very rare that you get 2 turtles per game, but it does happen in like super damp games. So it could happen. But in solo shuffle, like you almost never get 2 turtles. Yeah, but in threes that go damp, you could get 2 turtles. Okay, so that was your raw defensives, but another like huge part of the Hunter defensive toolkit is your mobility. So as Hunter, you're very mobile. So you need to be using your disengage, your cheetah, and your freedom as part of your defensive toolkit. So that means like if a warrior charges you or a Death Knight death grips you, you need to be ready to disengage it right away and start running. And then let's say they death grip you again, or the warrior charges you again or leaps at you, you need to use your cheetah freedom and book it and get out of here. And now you're gone. So yeah, as Hunter, you cannot like sit still and face tank a warrior or a Death Knight or like a Windwalker Monk, etc. You cannot just stand still and trade your Wall and your Ross and your Exil and your Feign and your Turtle. Like You can't do that. You need to be pulling. You need to be running away and putting them in a bad spot. And yeah, so don't just stand still and take a lot of damage. You need to be using your mobility as part of your defensive toolkit. Okay. Cool. And let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm happy to elaborate more. Okay, refer back to our notes. So some tips and tricks. There's a cool trick. Can I okay. So when you're trapping, typically you're going to use your intim into trap the first trap. And then on the second trap, when you don't have intim, you can either have your teammate stun for you to set you up for the trap, or you have to set up your own trap with a binding shot into a knock. Now, there's a cool trick you can do. I'm gonna go to my teammate over here, and he's gonna let me demonstrate something. So typically, oh no. So typically, people are used to doing the binding shot into knock, and that's fine. You have to do that often. But I wanted to show you this cool trick that you can do. It's so sick, and I don't see anybody else doing this, and it catches like even top healers off guard. And the requirement for this trick is that you do need to be far away. So let's pretend Zozo is the enemy healer. You need to be far enough away and stand still for a sec. Thank you. Okay, so you have the criteria is you have to be far enough away. Bro, stand still. Stand still. Stand still. Oh my God, Zozo. He's trolling me by moving around. Okay, thank you. So let's pretend the healer is on the pillar. Okay, you have to be far enough away, and instead of binding into knock, you can actually knock into binding, and this gives the healer no time to react, and it will instantly stun. So it looks like this: knock into binding, and look what happens. They get stunned really quickly. Okay. So yeah, that's a cool trick. Just keep in mind that like if the healer moves, then your knock trap is just gonna miss. But this is reliable if they're like on the pillar, right? And you know that they're not leaving the pillar. You can just throw knock into binding, and this gives the healer basically no time to react to that. And I'll show you that one more time. Looks like this. You have to be, I would say at least this far away. And this is knock trap into binding shot. Look what happens. Yeah, it's kind of cool combo that you can do. All right. Cool. So moving on to the next tip or trick. So I'm gonna show you how to do the double stampede trick with your 4-set. This is not a huge deal, and I wouldn't recommend playing around this too much, but it is like a small little min-max thing that you can do, and it's kind of cool. And so yeah, for the sake of like completionism, I will show you how to do this. So basically, when you Bestial Wrath, you get this buff for 12 seconds called Lead from the Front. And when you are in Lead from the Front, and you then summon a beast from Pack Leader, you proc your 4-set. That's what that means. So basically, there's 2 ways to summon beasts. The first way is to press Bestial Wrath. Boom. That's how you summon one beast. Okay? The only other way you can summon a beast is you have this timer. You have this ticking time bomb. And when this ticking time bomb reaches completion, you get another beast. Okay. So those are the only two ways that you can summon the pack leader beasts. So what the foreset is when you are in lead from the front and then you summon a beast, you proc your foreset. So what this means is, I'll show you the trick right now. Actually, I'll just do it. Hold on, we're gonna need to farm it back. Okay, and by the way, this is a reason why haste is so good on BM, is that the more globals you can do, the faster you can farm back your timer, right? So this is actually why haste is super important on BM. Okay, so this is the double stampede trick. So right now I can Bestial Wrath and stampede, and then stampede again, because I just summoned 2 beasts back to back, okay? So that is the double stampede trick. And again, I wouldn't recommend like intentionally playing around this so much, but if you notice that it's about to happen, it is something that you can play around a little bit. But again, I wouldn't obsess over this because this is not like a very important thing. Okay, I'll demonstrate that one more time for you. Let me farm this back here. Okay, so it would look like this. Boom, stampede, and then boom, another stampede. Okay, so that's kind of cool. Another reason that you would want to do this is every time you gain your Howl the Pack Leader buff, your kill command does 50% bonus damage. So that's really good to optimize your damage too. Yeah. Keep in mind, here, I'll show you another thing. Keep in mind, let's say you have a beast summon available, and then you Bestial Wrath on top of it. You don't lose the beast that you already had. So right here I have Bear. Now if I Bestial Wrath, I get Bear and Wyvern at the same time. See that? Bear and Wyvern together. So if you don't have a lot of time, and you need to do something right away, you don't have spare globals, sometimes you just have to do that. But other times, let's say you're just trying to purely maximize your damage potential, then you would want to do the other way. And the reason for that is you'll get double stampede and double kill command bonus damage. So that looks like this. I'll demonstrate it one more time. Okay, this is double stampede. So your Bestial Wrath, kill command, and then, you know, kill command again. There's your double stampede, and then you're double dipping on your pack mentality buff. Okay, cool. It's sort of confusing. Let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm happy to clarify anything. I think my dire beasts are keeping me in combat. Oh no. Okay, here we go. All right, what's next? Okay, so understanding how Dire Beast works and what bleeds you actually have. So, I really love the BM changes this season. Blizzard made you more bleed focused, and every bleed that you have applied has a 4% chance to summon a Dire Beast. Okay, and then also every time you kill command, you have a chance to summon a Dire Beast. Then every 6 Dire Beasts, you either get Hattie or Fenrir, and these are huge buffs that are like very important. Okay, so what this means is that you need to be maximizing the amount of bleeds that you're putting out to summon more Dire Beasts. And you also want to be, you know, maximizing your kill command casts to also summon Dire Beasts, which is also why haste is important. Because the more globals you get out, the more things you can do, and then the more Dire Beasts you can summon, right? It's like an infinite feedback loop. It's very cool. So I want you to understand what bleeds you actually have. You have 5 bleeds. The first one is Laceration, and it's completely passive, and you can't really control this. It just means that when your pets are attacking somebody, when they crit, they get a super small bleed. And this bleed is not actually like important to your damage profile. If you look at any of your damage, like laceration is like 0.4% of your damage. So what's important about this bleed is not that it does damage, it's that it is a bleed and then procs dire beasts, okay? So it's completely passive, you cannot control it. Okay? Your next bleed is barb shot, which of course we talked about, and you want to be spreading your barb shots. This means you want to be barb shot, tab, barb shot. And you want to have barb shot on at least 2, sometimes 3 targets to maximize your bleeds. And like we talked about earlier, maximize your kill command CDR. Okay. Oh no, I'm in combat again. Whoops. Dismiss pet. Feign death. Your next bleed is bloodshed. And bloodshed, if you don't know, the tooltip reads, it has an increased chance, more than other bleeds, to summon dire beasts. So very important that you use this aggressively, like every time on cooldown. If you can, you always want to buff your bloodshed with a bestial wrath, and if possible with a wyvern, because the wyvern increases all of your pet damage. So that's why in the opener, it's really nice to do bestial wrath into 1 kill command to summon the wyvern and then apply your bloodshed. So it would look like this. That's why I do this. Well, I don't have wyvern right now, I have boar, but yeah, you get it, and then you would bloodshed. And so it's definitely important that you have bestial wrath active when you bloodshed, but you can't always control that you have wyvern at the time that you would bloodshed, other than the opener. That's the only time that you can guarantee that you have wyvern. All right. So always buff your bloodshed with bestial wrath, and if possible, also wyvern. Your next bleed is stuck in combat. Your next bleed is from your bear, which is the 3rd summon from your pack leader. And if you don't know, bear is a huge amount of your damage. And the bleed that it applies is very fat. We go into some of our games here. It is RNG, but yeah, you can see here bear did about 15% of my damage, which is very strong. If you can summon your bear on targets that are stacked, like these are, then it does like incredible amounts of damage. But contrastingly, if you only apply bear single target, or if your bear misses, yeah, your bear can actually miss. Like, let's say that your target is running away like this, and then you summon your bear on a moving target, the bear will actually miss. I'm not even kidding you. It happens all the time. So sometimes it's hard to summon bear on mobile targets. Like let's say a hunter disengages, or a mage blinks, or a rogue shadow steps, or a demon hunter vengeful retreats, or fell rushes, etc. Your bear will actually miss, and you lose out on your entire bear damage, which sucks. But it is another bleed that also procs your dire beasts. And then your last bleed is Fenrir, which is part of your infinite feedback loop. Every 6 dire beasts gives you Hattie or Fenrir, and if it's Fenrir, you get another bleed, which then procs more dire beasts, right? So this is like the snowball effect, or the infinite feedback loop that I'm talking about. Okay, so that's all 5 of your bleeds as BM Hunter, and it's important to understand that mechanic so you know what is actually going on when you're playing. All right, cool. Okay, I think that's all of my tips and tricks that I can think of for now. Let me know if you have any other questions, or can think of any other things that you want me to go over. Oh, just last thing. When do you play Cunning, Tenacity, or Ferocity? Think of it like this. In 99% of situations, you're going to run a Cunning pet because you need the freedom. Freedom is so important to your survivability and utility. If for some reason you don't need freedom, and you are the kill target, then you can play Tenacity Pet for more maximum HP, as well as like a Battle Master trinket or like a Warrior Rallying Cry kind of effect on your pet. And this is pretty good if you don't need the freedom effect for some reason and you feel like you need the survivability. It's quite good. It pairs very well. If you do Fort of the Bear into Exhilaration, it's like a massive heal because Fortitude of the Bear increases your maximum HP, and then Exhilaration heals you based off of your maximum HP. Heals for you a percentage. That's quite good. And then Ferocity is your open world pet for like questing, for world PvP, etc. for when you want to bloodlust. You never play Ferocity in Arena, ever, ever, ever. I don't even do the bloodlust in the opening room anymore because it's too buggy, and I've literally lost games because I can't swap my pet back to Cunning in time. And it's just not worth it. Sometimes you'll get revealed out of stealth because you were late to the game. I've found through thousands of trial and errors that it just doesn't seem worth it to me anymore. I don't know, maybe I'll try it again sometime, but lately it's not been seeming worth it. Okay, and then regardless of whether you're running Cunning, Tenacity, or like Ferocity in open world, you always want the Mortal Wounds effect on your pet. There is nothing better. There used to be things that are better, but that's not the case anymore. Even if your DPS teammate already has a Mortal Wounds effect, like let's say you're playing with a Warrior or a Rogue or a Windwalker Monk for some reason in PvP, and they supply Mortal Wounds, you still want to take Mortal Wounds on your pet because there's nothing better. And let's say in the event that you're on different targets, you're now applying Mortal Wounds to multiple targets at the same time. Okay? There's nothing better. Always play Mortal Wounds pet. Okay. All right. And then finally, I'm streaming at twitch.tv/jwazir. So if you want to watch high-rated Hunter gameplay, or you have further questions for me, you want me to elaborate on anything, or just ask me any other questions, please come by, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay? Cool. Yeah, I'll be streaming a lot this season. I'm really loving Hunter this season. I feel like we're in a pretty good spot, and I'm happy with the state that Hunter is in right now. Cool. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.